Our journey through the Great Steppe continues. In the previous program, we visited the Tabagatai Mountains, the mausoleum of Aristan Bab, and asked for the blessing there. Today we're heading to the city of Turkestan and one of the main places of pilgrimage, the magnificent memorial complex of Khoja Ahmet Yasawi. Our film crew has been waiting a long time for this day, and finally we are here. Join us in our exciting adventure. Among the boundless Kazakh steppes, there is a city of Turkestan. Since ancient times, this land is considered as a sacred land. Great thinkers, scientists, and of course preachers of Islam were born and worked here. Turkestan is more than 1500 years old. Today it is an important center of Muslim pilgrimage in Central Asia.
Каждый камень – это история. Вот каждый штрих – это история.
Here, every stone, every stroke is a part of history. Now there is such a tradition in the world. Once a year, a city of the Muslim world becomes the capital. And last year, Turkestan was the capital of the Turkic world and passed the title to Azerbaijan. The history of Turkestan began in the 6th century BC. Then it was called Shavgar, then Yassi. In the 12th century, it became famous throughout the Great Silk Road. That was the place where scholars, writers, mathematicians, philosophers gathered, where stunning architectural structures were built, including mazars, madrasas, and that was the place where Islamic religion was widely developing. The city was developing until the Tatar-Mongol invasion. Even after Turkestan was completely destroyed, it managed to revive again and became a major economic and political center in Central Asia. This territory is unique, amazing in terms of architecture and history. There are so many centuries mixed with our history, and one tour cannot show everything. Turkestan is located 170 kilometers from the city of Shymkent. You can get there by taxi or bus. Travel time is about 3 hours. There is something to see here for history lovers. In 60 kilometers from Turkestan, there is one of the most important cities of the Great Silk Road, the ancient Otra. Today, a whole open-air museum has been organized here, and if you are lucky, you can watch the work of archaeologists and maybe find an artifact. For those who prefer more fresh air, we recommend the Karatau Nature Reserve, which is home to 15 species of red book animals. Our today's goal is the mausoleum of Khoja Ahmet Yasawi. Do not forget to follow our journey using the hashtag acrossthekazakhland and share with us your emotions, plans, and favorite places in the comments. Khoja Ahmet Yasawi is one of the most mysterious personalities of the East. The great Sufi was born and grew up in the family of the famous Sheikh Ibrahim and the preacher of Islam Karashah Shana. They say he had a special gift, and it was clear since he was a little child. When the boy was 7 years old, his father died, and Aristan Bab took care of him. Many people know the legend that Aristan Bab was looking for a boy named Ahmet for 500 years to give his amana, which means trust, in the form of persimmon. According to the legend, the great Aristan Bab, who has lived for many years, received a persimmon from the hands of the Prophet Muhammad. And had the task to find Ahmet after many years and to give him amana. Well, Muhammad asked who would do that, and the old man came out from the crowd, that was Aristan Bab, and said he will do it. And when the 7-year-old Ahmet Yasawi met Aristan Bab, he approached the old man and asked about the message from the Prophet. He continued his studies in Bukhara in Madrasa of Imam Yusuf Hamadani. After graduation, he returned to his home, Turkestan, where he continued the traditions established by Aristan Bab. Later, Ahmet Yasawi became a great teacher. He had thousands of students who spread Islam throughout the world. Today, Turkestan is the main place of pilgrimage, while Ahmet Yasawi is considered as a saint of the people.
Он считался как поэт, понимаете, и основатель суфизма среди течения, среди шиитов, основатель суфизма.
He remained as a poet and the founder of Sufism among the Shiites.
Поэтому даже его смерть, уход является одним из многих.
Even his death is covered with many legends, and he was a respected man in the Muslim world, among the Muslim Turks, because the Turks converted to Islam late, in the 9th, 10th centuries.
Очень поздно принято мусульманство, в 9-10 веке, поэтому он был проповедником этого течения, когда тюрки стали...
He was a preacher of the religion. He is the second prophet after Muhammad and the first for the Turkic world.
После Мухаммеда является пророком, и он является первым для тюркского мира.
Again, going back to the legends, the mystic wandered for a long time in search of solitude. And only in Turkestan he found peace. Striking the ground with his stick, he made fountain of living water. Here he built a small dwelling and began to create. There are many legends about him among people, but there are practically no reliable facts. It is only known that he was married, he had a daughter named Gaukar and a son Ibrahim. The girl died when she was a child, and people killed his son because of the water. Despite all the tragic things, Ahmet remained kind and open to people, proudly carrying his faith. Do not be arrogant. Stay away from the greedy and mean. Earn money for yourself. He followed these rules. He did not take money from his students, did not accept gifts. They say that he made spoons from wood, that's how he earned money. The main legacy of Ahmet Yasawi is the Book of Wisdom, Divan-i-Hikmet. That's the copy. The original has long been lost, and such copies are stored in many museums of the world, in Moscow, Istanbul, Tashkent and Almaty. Yasawi is the first Turkic poet who wrote in the Oghuz Kipchak dialect. In his work, he gathered the main rules of Islam. He urged everyone to be patient, obedient, and most importantly, to live honestly. It is impossible to force a person to convert to any faith, said Sufi. He managed to adapt Islam to the nomadic peoples who at the time believed in Zoroastrianism and shamanism. Thanks to the teachings of Ahmet Yasawi, the Turkic world has changed its spiritual world outlook. Ahmet Yasawi believed that he could not live longer than the Prophet Muhammad. Therefore, at the age of 63, he locked himself in an underground cell where he spent the rest of his days. It is unknown how many years a mystic has spent underground. Some say that 20 years, others claim that Ahmet lived 125 years. He died without going out. He died in 1166 and was buried in a small mausoleum. And 219 years later, a giant memorial complex was built at that place by the order of Tamerlane. The construction of the mausoleum began in 1385 after defeating Khan of the Golden Horde Tokhtamesh. The conqueror of Central Asia decided to worship Yasawi. This is a masterpiece of medieval architecture. It originally consisted of 2 rooms. When Khoja Ahmet Yasawi died, the locals built him a mausoleum of 2 rooms. And then after 2 centuries, Amir Timur built this grand building for him. The construction of the mausoleum is covered with legends too. They say that the work could not start at all due to the sudden strong storm or weak walls.
И однажды к Амиру Тимуру во сне является старец.
Once Amir Timur had a dream with an old man, and some people say it was a blue bull, who said that before building a mausoleum on the grave of Ahmet Yasawi, you must build a mausoleum on the grave of his teacher, Aristan Bab. And then Amir Timur gave an order for the construction of the mausoleum at the grave of his teacher, Aristan Baba. That is a beautiful legend.
На могиле его учителя Асланбаба. Вот такая красивая легенда.
After that, the construction went smoothly, and soon a magnificent mosque of the great Sufi poet Khoja Ahmed Yasawi appeared in the midst of the boundless Kazakh steppe, where the Great Silk Road once existed. It was constructed quickly in 10 years by the best architects of the East.
Эти люди были особого разряда. Их не трогали.
These people had a special rank. And so today we are talking about the magnificent architecture of Uzbekistan.
Так вот, он начинает как
And so, as a visionary, he began to build a mausoleum on the grave of Sheikh Ahmed Yasawi.
Мавзолей на могиле шейха Ахмеда Ясави. Уже в XI веке эта территория была овеяна.
In the 12th century, this territory was covered with legends about the great Yasawi, and at that time Muslims and pilgrims used to come here. The grave was very modest.
Но могила была очень скромная.
Khoja Ahmed Yasawi Mausoleum is the first officially approved historical cultural site and the one that was taken under UNESCO protection in the territory of modern Kazakhstan, the central landmark of Hazrat Sultan Museum Reserve in the city of Turkestan. If you visit the Khoja Ahmed Yasawi Memorial Complex 3 times, it is equal to Hajj to Mecca. Timur determined personally the main parameters of the building. The mausoleum consists of 35 halls, including mosque, a museum, a medieval bathhouse, a library. There used to be a madrasa. Inside, the walls are decorated with glazed lining and covered with mosaic patterns. The walls are covered with different ornaments and inscriptions praising the Prophet Muhammad and Allah.
Сейчас посетители музея смотрят первый этаж. Для сохранности мавзолея сейчас на второй этаж не разрешено.
Now the museum visitors are looking at the first floor.
Посетители смотрят только первый этаж. И посещают в основном.
Going to the second floor is not allowed because a lot of people come here.
Казахстана есть посетители с Узбекистана.
They come to the mausoleum not only from Kazakhstan, but also from Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Turkey, from Austria, from France, Japan, from China.
С Китая очень много приезжают.
At first glance, the mausoleum is striking in its size. It is a huge rectangular building with portals and domes. The height of the arched portal is 37.5 meters. The main dome is almost 40 meters and its diameter is 22 meters. Once it showed to the steppe travelers that they had to travel another 40 kilometers to the shrine. The dome is well preserved. It is the largest dome in Central Asia and in Kazakhstan. The construction of the memorial complex was stopped after the death of Amir Temur in 1405. To this day, it is unfinished. This becomes clear as soon as you approach the mausoleum. You can see the building works under the roof. At one time, Ruzbikan wrote, "There are only 3 such monuments that Timur has built, in Samarkand, in Shahrisabz and in Turkestan." The mausoleum keeps a few secrets. Scientists still cannot figure out the composition of bricks front part. There are disputes about why the entrance is not looking at Mecca direction and how the building still stands for 6 centuries.
Мавзолей произошло от слова «мавсол». В IV веке до нашей эры.
In the 4th century BC, one of the rulers of Halikarnassus, during his lifetime, built himself a tombstone.
Его зовут Мавсол. Ну, он, конечно, не дожил, потом.
The first mausoleum. After death, his spouse finished building it.
Потом пошли слово «мавзолей». Это надгробное сооружение.
And in the Muslim world, the construction of mausoleums began in the 9th century.
Начинается строить такие места, как мавзолеи.
Therefore, the fact that the entrance is directed east does not matter, and inside one room is directed towards Mecca, to the west.
Один из помещений, это уже другое, там уже направлен на Мекке, на западный мир.
The mausoleum was built using the most advanced technologies of the architecture of the time. Persian architects used innovative solutions that were used in the construction of Samarkand, the capital of the empire of Amir Temur.
Многие мастера были из Самарканда,
Many architects came from Samarkand, the capital of the Timurid Empire. Some of the master builders were from India because such monuments hadn't been built in Kazakhstan before. Sources say that Tamerlane participated in the construction of this monument. There are several names of the architects who took part in the construction of this grand monument at the end of the 14th century and beginning of the 15th century. Scientists are still unable to unravel the solution recipe, which was used when laying red burnt bricks. As well as they cannot find the answer to what the tile, which covers the walls, was made of. The mausoleum was restored several times, and this can be seen if you look at it closely. Surprisingly, the centuries-old tile still retains its original color, but the one that was put recently has crumbled and faded over several years.
Архитектурные особенности, начиная от кирпичов, от фундамента, там в 3 метра как раз.
Architectural features include the foundation, which is 3 meters in depth, and for bricks. They took clay in Sauran, which is 50 kilometers away from Turkestan.
Находится около 50 километров ущелье Сауран. Оттуда брали. Потом.
And as for the tiles, still people cannot find similar ones.
Разные рисунки, штамповки, там обожженные глины, очень интересные, но некоторые до сих пор не могут найти похоже, даже аналогов некоторых нету.
At dawn and dusk, if you look at the walls from a certain angle, you can see that they have a golden color, as if precious metal was added to the solution.
Это поливная керамика, это, понимаете, это полив.
This is not gold. It is a special type of polishing, glazed ceramics. Now in archaeology, there is such a term, Timur ceramics. This light blue color always glitters, but there is no gold there.
Поэтому там позолоченный золотом, там пока еще ничего нету.
The Khoja Akhmet Yasawi mausoleum is the only building of that era that has been fully preserved. By the way, in the past century, the memorial was damaged twice. In 1846, the Kokand army decided to destroy Turkestan. Later, the Russian troops, during the capture of the city, shot the memorial complex with artillery. It was even decided to demolish the shrine, as its walls were in terrible condition. However, Governor von Kaufmann convinced to preserve the monument to the great Eastern poet thinker. The main shrine of the mausoleum is Taykazan. It is the largest water bowl in the eastern part of the Muslim world. According to the legend, the bowl was made from 7 metals in a village named Karnak. The surface of the bowl is decorated with ornaments with inscriptions that this is Timur's gift to the mausoleum of Khoja Akhmet Yasawi. In Soviet times, the bowl was part of the Hermitage exposition, but in 1988 it was returned to the mausoleum. In ancient times, Taykazan was used to water the worshippers after the Friday prayer. Its capacity is 60 buckets, diameter 2 meters, and weight is almost 2 tons. Since the old times, Taykazan is a symbol of unity and the hospitality of the Turkic tribes. From the outside, the bowl is covered with embossed inscriptions and floral ornaments. On the top, it is said that Taykazan is a gift from the Amir Timur. In the center, it is said, "Be blessed," the name of the master and the year it was made, and at the very bottom, words to Allah. By the way, Taykazan was made in 1399 by a master from Tabriz, Abdulaziz ibn Sharafuddin. It is believed that if you drink the water from it, you can be cleaned from impurity.
Помимо Тайгазана есть экспонаты.
In addition to Taykazan, there are also candlesticks, which were made by order of Amir Timur. We now have 6 candlesticks. They are also made of alloy of 7 metals. They were made by Isfahan masters. One of the 6 is in the Louvre, one in St. Petersburg in Hermitage on display. In the main hall there is also another relic, carved doors. Their height is about 6 meters. Just imagine how hard it was to install them once they guarded the entrance to the mausoleum. These doors are decorated with gold and silver. Hadiths and dayas are written there. The name of the master is Al-Safa. The Iranian master made the door in 1397 by the order of Amir Timur. The Majolika museum's plates are also unique. That is, the six-sided Majolika is very well preserved in the Gurkhan, where you can see the seal with the name of the master. From the main hall, you can get to the tomb of Khoja Ahmed Yasawi. It is called Kabukhana. However, the entrance to it is closed. These doors are also an artifact. To the smallest details, you can see the master's delicate work, how carefully it is carved and inlaid. In the 15th century, these halls were used as the headquarters of the Kazakh Khans. Ambassadors from other countries were received at the big one. Also, coral ties there used to gather the most influential and famous people of the Kazakh steppes. Within these walls, the Khans ascending the throne swore an oath of loyalty. The museum still stores the objects of the ancient rulers. By the way, other great people are also buried here. The ashes of Abulai Khan, Bogin Baibatir and many other great figures and commanders are in the mausoleum. To this day, there is a functioning small mosque where 5 times a day people pray. It is never deserted here. Every day, hundreds of pilgrims come to worship to the holy ancestors. Next to the mausoleum, there is a cell where Ahmed Yasawi spent his last days. Dear viewers, and do not forget about our photo contest. Repeat the photo. So you need to take a photo near Sayramsu Lake and post it in the social networks using the hashtag #AcrossTheKazakhland and get a chance to win prizes from our TV channel. Are you ready? Let's go! In the Muslim world, Turkestan is considered the second Mecca. Sooner or later, one of the roads will still lead the believer here, to the Mazar of the legendary Sultan Khazrat, the spiritual mentor of the Turkic peoples, who is called by people a person who brought the light of Islam to the steppe.
С точки зрения как раз паломников, если продолжить маршрут вдруг, да и вообще с точки зрения познавательного тура, чаще всего
From the point of view of the pilgrims and tour agencies, the mausoleum of the father of Ahmed Yasawi is next on the map, which is in Sayram, part of Shymkent today.
Отца Ахмеда Ясави. Это Сайрам. Сайрам, который сегодня является частью города Шымкента.
Ibrahim Atta was from a rich family and his mother, Karashash, was the daughter of the famous in Sayram Sheikh Musa. People refer to them as gifted people. Her name is Aisha, but for the beautiful long braids, the people called her Karashashana. People visit another 11 medieval mausoleums in Sayram. The mausoleums for the parents of the great Sufi were built in the 13th century. Like many other buildings, they were destroyed several times by the natural disasters and were rebuilt several times. The now existing mazars were constructed in the middle of the 19th century. There are also other shrines in Sayram, such as the mausoleums of Abdulaziz Baba, Khoja Talig, Mirali Baba, the medieval minaret, Khizr and others. The history of this land is rich, and this is confirmed by various finds and medieval architecture. Today the city requires careful research, so archaeologists continue their work. Every year this place attracts the attention of travelers. Pilgrims come to worship the holy places not only from all over Kazakhstan, but also from many foreign countries. Sayram is one of the priority historical and geographical objects in the Cultural Heritage State Program. That's all for today. We hope you found out a lot of new and interesting things. Follow our journey using the hashtag #AcrossTheKazakhland. See you very soon.